Welcome back to another episode of the Keyframe Zero podcast.
Yay.
With your hosts, Mitchell Klein and
John Willis.
we're joined today by a special guest.
Maya Camas.
And we'll play the intro music here so that we can segue out
Will
of
we?
that. Yeah, we will, John.
Did we dance?
You can if you want. No one's going to see it. All right. So we've got our guest with us today. Maya, thank you for joining us.
Yeah,
how are
no
you doing today?
problem. I'm so good. How are you?
Not bad. Mitchell, how are you doing?
I feel like you're lying, but I'm doing fine.
None of us slept very well.
You don't have to say that kind of stuff.
We're
Let's-
animation students.
Yeah, speaking of, let's dive right in. What got you interested in animation or illustration?
Okay.
Or tell us about what you do.
What got me interested in animation?
Yes.
Well, honestly, it's kind of like a life story question. There hasn't been like a time in my life where it wasn't. It was always going to be art. It was always going to be drawing, painting, making birthday cards, and selling my art somehow. I was going to do it somehow. I've been in like fine art lessons since I was in 3rd grade with the most wonderful woman in the world. My parents are not artists. They're creative in their own ways. I'll say that.
I'm gifted
because
in
they're
other
gonna
ways.
watch this. But they are not artists. But they were like, what do we do with her? Like, she's not into like the ballet, the sports. She's not
The sports,
she can't do it.
Ballet is a sport, right?
kind of.
It's
Depends
like
on who you
dance.
ask. Yeah.
That's a safe answer. Yeah.
Bowling is also a sport.
They were like, what do we do with her? And then they felt that the lessons that I was in Arizona weren't really challenging me enough anymore. I think this was like 6th grade. And so they found the Walt Disney Family Museum in San Francisco, which, do you guys know what that is? Okay, yeah.
Heard of it, never been, but
You should go because it's absolutely phenomenal. My parents were like, okay, it's like art technically, and she really likes Disney. Like, she loves movies. So they were like, that'll work. And they sent me there, and I went and took classes there every summer for like until I graduated high school. So 6 years. And that is where I was like, art and stories. And this is a career that I can do. Like, this is the dream now. Like, this is what I want to do. Yeah, I guess that's what got me into animation. I was hooked.
that's very cool.
So, and what made you choose Lipscomb as your school of choice specifically?
It's so far. I'm originally from Arizona. You know that.
I do now. I knew you were from the desert, but I wasn't sure which desert.
Yeah, it was kind of far, and so I didn't want to go that far from my family, from the desert, from everything, my whole life. And I almost went to APU.
Same.
I looked at that, but I looked at that school because it was closer. But animation doesn't really have a presence in Arizona. Finding Lipscomb was game changer because I was on a workshop with the Bancroft brothers. They were talking about how they found the style for Mulan on a thing with the Walt Disney Family Museum. And so I was like, man, these guys are kind of funny. And then at the end, they were like, by the way, we teach at a Christian university and we teach animation. And I was like, that kind of sounds like my jam.
You don't say.
Yeah, exactly. Checking all the boxes. So I went and visited my sophomore year of high school, and everyone was like, that's kind of early, but I knew it was what I wanted to do. And I went to Lightbox my sophomore year of high school.
Wow.
And because I knew there was nothing else for me out there. I was good at other things. I used to want to be a vet for a little bit because my school was like, you can't do art. I was like, oh, okay. I'm like,
I do what I want.
yeah, I was like, I'm like 10, but okay.
Watch me.
I knew that, I just knew. And so my mom was so supportive, and she was like, we'll go to Lightbox. Like, I guess that's what the animation people do. And so we went, and I met Tom and Tony, and they were like, absolutely spoke life over my career and said that if I put my mind to it, that I could do it. And I kind of believed them. So I submitted my portfolio. I didn't submit a portfolio anywhere else. I knew I wanted to go to Lipscomb after I toured, and I got in.
Wow.
Heck yeah.
And here we are.
That's super cool. Well, we're not at Lipscomb right now.
We're
Wait,
in Nashville right now.
We
Lipscomb. Attend.
Yes.
You and I attend.
He
Lipscomb.
did.
Yeah.
Don't act sad. You're fine.
You're
Oh,
thriving.
oh.
End of conversation.
Go
I
because
didn't.
it's not about you.
I was devastated
it's about
when
Maya
Mitchell was leaving
Camas.
early. I didn't know. I didn't know you were graduating.
See,
a semester
you
early.
devastate people.
Yeah.
See, I remember hearing that from some freshmen, and I was like, I don't know any of these people, so I feel bad. Like, okay, bye.
Bye, I guess.
Yeah.
But I love Lipscomb, and I love our program so much.
Yes.
And I'm very happy.
Like
made the move.
ILL. I love Lipscomb.
Yes.
ILL. There's an
Ill.
Arthur episode where
Ill.
their school is called Lakewood, and they go like ILL, like I love Lakewood.
Oh.
So it's like that reminded me of Arthur.
Wow.
Sorry,
I love
I'm
Lipscomb. I
I'm-
do.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
I do miss it. I
focus
miss
now.
the.
I have so much Lipscomb pride.
I do miss hanging out with people in the labs all the time. It was a really cool. It was a great place to be,
Mhm.
and there's a lot of really good teachers who give a lot of great
Definitely.
advice. There's no way to naturally segue to this, but I'm just gonna ask it anyway.
Not with that attitude.
So when
Watch-
actually I can't do it.
Yeah.
I am gonna
All right,
segue
all right,
naturally
all right.
Go.
because while I was at Lipscomb, I didn't get to know very many of the freshmen my senior year because I didn't know it was gonna be my senior year.
Yeah.
So I thought I still had plenty of time to meet all these new people, and I just chose not to. So I don't know very many people in your class besides you, and the only real reason why I know you is because of your backgrounds. Like I heard such great things about your drawings and all of the backgrounds you did for projects, especially for Caleb's capstone right now.
Mhm.
That's the main reason why I was just like, okay, this is somebody like to note. So I wanted to
Thank
ask you
you.
because I've seen all of your wonderful backgrounds. What is the
Really good
process?
stuff.
What is your process for creating specifically? I really want to know about the backgrounds, but
Okay.
any art that you do.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. That's very sweet. Genuinely, when you've been doing something for so long, I don't think I could write out what I do because I've been doing it since like 3rd and 6th grade. I try to stay inspired as much as I can. If I don't have if my inspiration tank is like empty, it's hard for me to produce quality work, which I feel like that is kind of the artist experience. But especially for me, I feel definitely pull a lot from nature. Being outside, if I'm not outside at least once a day, I don't know what would happen to me. I need that to inspire my art. How I got my start was doing landscapes and backgrounds for like fine art, and like animals and stuff. So backgrounds is weirdly like a safe place because that's kind of where I started. But with Caleb's film, I had never been like a background person. So I think it's so interesting that you said you thought that was like my thing because I never thought that was my thing. But But I love it. I really do. Working with Caleb has been amazing. And he has definitely made doing backgrounds like a break, like a mind break. The colors and the patterns that we're using are like shapes and colors. It feels so good in my brain.
Very fun.
But
Casey
yeah.
and the Star, it's called, by the way. I don't know
Yeah.
if we mentioned.
Subtle plug.
Why are you looking at me like that?
I don't know.
I'm being normal.
Normal.
Continue.
You said okay.
What?
Continue.
I was being weird earlier. Now I'm being normal. No, I'm talking to him. You're go. You're
Okay,
doing great.
okay. I'm sorry.
No, I'm not yelling at you.
I know.
Okay.
My process when I do anything is something has to inspire me. Honestly, I'm one of the artists that it's like in my head before it's on the paper. I'm never figuring it out as I'm going. Okay.
What?
Nothing.
Can you stop making faces?
Mitchell keeps turning and looking at John after I say something. I'm like,
Yeah,
"Did I say
why are you
something
doing?
wrong?"
She's talking.
I'm listening. No, I'm just.
Okay.
I'm writing down
I'm
mental
listening.
notes of things I want to say to him later because of this. But continue.
Shut up and let the woman talk. Where's Homer? There he is. That's a quote from season 8, A Millhouse Divided.
And then when I actually sit down and draw, it's always in my head first, and then my process is getting it from my head to the paper. And then once I see it on paper, I'm like, okay, my eyes have to fill in the gaps that like my brain made. So a patch of green has to have something there. You know, it can't just be a patch of green. It has to have a pattern or a texture or something there. But I guess that is how I would describe my process.
Okay.
Interesting.
I was saying the other day that when John does stuff, he was saying that somebody else was talking about how annoying it is when you have a great idea in your head and you draw it and then it's terrible. And John basically just said like, "Oh yeah, I understand that." And I said, "No, you don't. That's never happened to you before."
Are you in my brain? You don't
And so
know
now
what I
hearing what you're
understand and what I
talking
don't.
about, it kind of makes me feel like you are the John of the backgrounds. That's how I'm picturing it in my head, just based off of how you described it. I'm like, yeah, you think of it and then it exists. I don't have that. I can think of it and then I can do it and it looks terrible. So I fix it for a few weeks and then it looks fine.
That was part of my like fine art like training, I guess, was I was working with this fine artist who I love and adore so much.
Who is this?
Her name is Linda Story London,
Mm.
and she's a fine artist in Arizona, and I would talk about her for this whole time if I could. She has changed my life, and I wouldn't be here without her. She's amazing and I adore her. But part of my training with someone so young, like such as myself, I was like in 3rd grade. She would see me get so frustrated when I was like, I don't understand how you can do it and how I can see it in my head and I know what I want to do, but I can't get it there. And I would get so frustrated and I would be like, I mess it up. So she would take me outside all the time and she would say, just look. And she had this whole thing of me like training my eyes to see the world as art and to see it as like shapes and colors and shadows and light. And she would always tell me like if I was going to draw you, like that's not Mitchell. That's a bunch of shadows and that is, the gold in his hair and that is like, the red on his shirt. Like that's what it is. And I feel like that shifted my whole perspective on art in general, but also like in life, I feel like I have such a greater appreciation for obviously God's creation, but like I've been looking at like the reflection in the like plastic piece there because I would love to draw those little reflections in there. But that is something that helped me get my ideas from my head to the physical space was observing and like training my eyes to see the world that way.
That's
And it's all
very
thanks to
cool.
her.
Yeah.
See, now I'm going to be a
It's-
little bit distracted by this plastic and
Isn't
the
it
caustics
beautiful?
going through it. Yeah.
It's always nice to have a positive influence in your creative endeavors like
Mhm.
that.
And I get to see her spring break. I'm so excited.
That's awesome. 2D versus CG. Which one is better in your opinion?
Real quick, this is going to be a debate topic. That's what I put
Oh,
this in
yeah.
here for.
All right, everybody, guess what time it is? It's time for our weekly debate. We got some topics for ya. Today we're going to be, which is better? I don't know. 2D or CG? Who's picking what side? Oh, man, they're going to duke it out, folks. It's going to be a wild ride.
Hold on to your hats and
Where was
Hold
this
on to
energy
your-
5 minutes ago?
Oh, my gosh. I love a good debate. This is going to be good.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So, Mitchell, 2D or CG? Are you?
Which is better?
Yeah.
So I'm going to pick 2D animation. And I
Shaking
will
things up a
say,
little.
As my main reasoning is because it's the original way of animating.
Well, we'll
the-
get to your reasoning.
Wait, I haven't had a single thought this whole time. Okay.
What?
I just realized I have to defend this.
Yeah,
Yes.
I was gonna go through some reasoning so that she can think for a second, and
Thank
then I'll
you.
have her give her
I thought
reasoning.
we
very
were doing
much.
it in. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Cool. What?
2D animation is the original animation. It was the original way of doing things where you had to draw everything frame by frame. It requires a certain level of discipline, and it requires you to know the principles of animation to a T and to be able to do timing without actually clicking a play button. That's the old school way of doing things. These days, it's a little bit different, but there's still that original charm that's left in it. So even when you're working with 2D rigs, there's still a certain charm that 2D animation has. The flat look of things where there's some dimension to it, but it's all like faked. So everything is something that an artist had to decide how they wanted to imply perspective and motion and all those things. That's going to be my main defense for 2D
Okay.
animation.
I think just because something is the original way of doing things or more authentic way of doing things, I don't think that makes CG any less authentic or any less requiring of a skilled hand or precision. I think what you just said was key was that 2D requires the implication of perspective and the implication. I think CG, I would argue, requires some more technical skill because not only do you have to have mastered the 12 principles of animation, but you also have to know how to create an entire space and not imply space.
Nice. Good stuff. Math is important. And I hear that plays a big role. You got anything to retort?
Well, just
The
given
ball's
that
in your
idea,
courts.
Yeah. If I left you speechless.
Oh,
John,
Did I
I'm
just
at a
win?
loss
Is
for
that-
words.
based
Hi,
on
Mitchell.
that comment about math, I would say that there is a certain precision to CG animation and the technicality behind it. But also what comes in to play with that is that a lot of it becomes very robotic and rigid and what's the right word for that? Like
Sterile.
sterile, static. Yes. Thank you for helping me.
Oh, wait.
Whereas with original 2D animation, no matter how you do it, there's always a level of organicness to it. Certain decisions that need to be made by the creator of that animation or that work. Certain things that just you wouldn't be able to get otherwise because it's something that it could be like a certain brushstroke or just the mindset you have to be in. It's a fully creative thing. There's not a lot of math involved.
I don't know if that
That's
defense
not
stands
true.
against 2D rigged animation.
I would say it does to an extent because, especially with how 2D rigged animation goes, it's one of those things where you can start from the benefits of CG, where you have certain things that are set in stone on that rig, but then almost every single time you have to go in and do some hand-drawn elements. But on top of that, everything in the rig is still hand-drawn at some point. So an artist had to decide what shape and size all these different pieces were going to be, similar to a CG artist. But again, there's always that natural change that happens because you're not having to type in math equations and you're just deciding on your own where these lines are going to go. There's a certain organicness and authenticity to that.
So if you were to say that you're able to put nuance and creativity into the movement of a 2D rig, do you not think that you could do that with a CG rig? Just say I win.
Ooh.
You just tore down your own.
Nice.
I would say you won. Well, because I will say that
Because we like both.
we do like
Yes.
both. We don't actually.
I don't
And
think
this
one
was
is better.
this was a fun one because Mitchell, as you know, is a 3D artist and Maya is primarily a 2D artist. So they were out of their comfort zones.
Yeah.
But you both defended it pretty well.
But I will say that all of both of those points are true. I think with
They are.
CG animation, that's your thing you won with that is also what's true about animation in general, is that there is still always going to be a certain level of the hand of the artist in whatever it is you're making. And that's where you as an individual get to kind of have your voice in what's going on. Yeah, this was fun.
Hold up.
Thank you for joining us today. It was nice.
It was my pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching. Thank you for hosting.
Yeah, thanks for joining.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. Tune
right.
in next time.
Yeah.
See you soon. Farewell.
Bye.
Bye.